All right, everybody, it's our time now. We've got some great people here. I'm really thrilled to have all of these amazing folks up on the stage with me. Let me introduce you to a few people. First and foremost, we've got Josh Bradley. Josh Bradley is the owner of BradWay Construction and Restoration. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, great. So big round of applause for Josh, who's been a longtime customer with Buildxact. Woo! We've also got Brian Yambor. Is that right?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. He is a general and mechanical contractor for Precision Homes, right? Amazing. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds thrilling and amazing. And the fact that you're using our product is even more amazing. And then next to me on my left, who's going to take over some great questions, is Dustin Elliott. I can't say enough amazing things about him. He's our Director of Product Operations here at Buildxact. So Dustin's going to fill in some things as we go along this conversation, but what we really want to talk about today is we want to talk about the differences, especially with you guys, that you've experienced using Buildxact versus anything else that you used, even if it's pen and paper, because sometimes our builders come to us because they've just been on pen and paper or in an Excel doc. And so if that's the case, great. If not, we want to understand the differentiators between your experience using other things and what you've gotten with us. So let's help our amazing audience here understand what they're missing, what you're missing by not being with Buildxact, and why you guys think, I mean, I'm going to brag because why wouldn't I? That we're the best technology tool that you have in your stack of technology. Okay? Sounds good? But first, I want to kick it off with you, Dustin, because maybe you can help me understand and let the audience understand what are the ways that you see Buildxact being able to outperform other technologies or just the pen and paper?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I think that's been really much of the conversations we've been having here today. And I think fundamentally it really boils down to three key things. The first one is ease of use. And from a lot of the conversations here today, people are using pen and paper, but that pen and paper is Excel, it's Word documents, it's QuickBooks, it's messaging, it's WhatsApp, it's all of these different tools that are trying to serve all these different purposes, and they're really difficult to use in terms of trying to stitch it all together. So I think having it in all in one platform, easy to use, and you can actually use all of it. And we have a ton of other features too that I know a lot of people, if they're in that space, like scheduling as an example, that they want to use it, but they just don't have room in the 17 other products that they're trying to use to actually leverage it and actually do that kind of thing. So easy, all in one platform, I think is really the biggest thing, and actually being able to use all of our platform. You're paying for it, you might as well use it, and you absolutely can. The second one, and it's been a lot of conversation today, is around the AI tools. That's another really key thing, that AI is here, and I know a lot of people are starting to venture into using it, but the real challenge is that ChatGPT is not built for just this, right? So they got to wrangle it, they got to kind of grind it, they got to try to feed information in, they got to yell at it. And then when you're done, you still have to copy and paste all this information into a Word doc, into Excel, put it into an email, and all this sort of stuff as well. So this is what we've done for 15 years, is work with these guys and tons and thousands of other amazing builders around the world to develop a world-class leading product. And that has gone and shown no better than in our AI tools, I think, that are integrated there, ready to go. You don't have to leave the platform to create an estimate or do your takeoffs. It's all there. I think it's a really key thing. And the third thing is just how deep and rich our integration is with Home Depot. We got a couple reps around here today, which has been amazing. But just having all that data together, it's super, super important. And I remember early on when a lot of that stuff was being developed, chatting with builders and realizing pretty quick that they've got Buildxact open, and then they've got Home Depot open, and they're having to copy and paste and go back and forth and back and forth. So being able to pull all that together, and as deep and rich of having the pricing, the material ordering, the receipting, it's absolutely game changing. And it just having it all in one platform, I can't stress enough. Just think about how often you have to go back and forth, but instead of Buildxact having it all together, it's
magic. Well, we should hear it from them, right? So you've got some questions, Dustin, that he's going to ask you guys. We want to hear it from you. I mean, obviously we can say this all day long, but Dustin's going to kind of focus on those questions that help us understand what's different for you now that you're using Buildxact. Take it away.
Thank you very much. Brian, I want to start with you. I talked a little bit about that all-in-one, that ease of use. Can you paint a little bit of a picture for us about what was your process like before you're using Buildxact, and then how has that changed now that you're within Buildxact?
Sure. So I think everyone kind of has some of the same story, to where it was a lot of late nights on Excel spreadsheets trying to figure out formulas, copying, pasting, hoping your numbers are right, hoping you got the decimal in the right spot. And then on top of that, how's that going to look when the client sees that, right? What's that going to look like? How polished can you make an Excel spreadsheet, right? You can put your logo on there, but it doesn't look the best. So I think, from an optics standpoint, that, when you present something that's very polished and might have your own logo on there, your own colors and your own marketing scheme, if you hand that to the client, I think that's also what helps set you apart. And if you can do it faster and more time with your family or your kids, and then also get some more sleep, I think that's very, very beneficial to everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Josh, I'm going to ask you the same question, because I know I've heard a little bit about your story, and you've got a pretty powerful story about life before Buildxact and how that's changed now that you're on the system. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. And I agree with him. We're the same age, and I use paper, so I sound like I'm older, but he's got me beat a little bit on that. So I did do paper. I still had the yellow notepad, and Excel spreadsheet was the same.
Don't worry, I still have paper.
Yeah. And so we mixed the two. And it became a health issue for me. My wife's here. She's right over there to the right. The hours were creeping up. They were beyond creeping up. I was closing in on 100 most of the time every week, missing family time at nights, weekends, trying to burn it, keep it rolling, because I was the only operator at the time. And so when we started looking for software, we looked at everyone you see around here, and they just didn't quite fit. And so Buildxact, and at the time we didn't know. I didn't know exactly what I was getting into. We were just looking for something to reduce time on estimation, just anything really. And so we checked out 4 or 5 vendors, and then when we got to Buildxact, it checked the boxes. And so the company bought it in like November. They wanted me to jump in it, and it took till like January before I finally succumbed and just like, all right, what the heck? Because she was pushing me, which your wife's pretty powerful in that position. You got to listen. And so I started using in January, and that's been 3 years and a month ago, and we've never looked back. And it brought in the beginning, we were looking for something to reduce half my time, and it jumped up to 70, 80% pretty quick. And so now, if I'm going to build a home that would take me a week or 2, especially if you got vendors involved, the goals, which is $1.9 million residence, it took me 11 hours. And if that was 3 years ago, it'd have been probably 2.5 to 3 weeks to get everything finalized. So it's a huge step up in time saving.
Yeah, that's massive.
Yeah, I think also too, from a price standpoint, this software is very customized to residential construction, right? You can do commercial, sure, you can, but we needed something that was residential, new construction, remodeling based, right? So other softwares, sure, it's a big suite, but it's way more than we need, and it was way more expensive than somebody that is a very small business that would want to absorb that cost with, right? And I think the ease of use is there too, because we wanted something very customizable with all the invoices and change orders and all of that nature, and everything's very streamlined too. It's more on the residential side, like I said. So I think that was pretty much our decision at that point, was the price, and then the integration with Home Depot was coming up. So that was kind of what else are you going to do, right? Yeah.
Agree. Amen to that.
Yeah, really powerful stuff. But I want to kind of take it back a little bit here. So, from a lot of the conversation that I'm having today, there's always a little bit of hesitancy, I think, for builders even having to look at switching or getting away from Excel, right? And I get that. It's scary. You're busy. You're already working 80 hours a week, and all of a sudden I know the prospect of, okay, I got to learn a new software. I wonder if you can guys share a little bit about your thought process in terms of what were you thinking, or your hesitancy around Buildxact, and what actually was the real live reality. Did that come true, or what was that like for you in making that transition, thinking through that moment?
So any change is difficult. And when you're under pressure, you typically revert back to what always worked, which was paper and Excel. And so that's why that 3-month delay was there, is I just never had the time. I'm like, I need to blow some time to figure this out, thinking it would take months to figure out Buildxact. And so that was that 3-month stall. And then we got some snow in January, so construction slows way down. And so that's when I took that opportunity. I'm like, you know what, I'll get in here, we'll check out. And of course, I jumped on the phone with Dan Conlin back there. He was a big point. Yeah, he was a big point for us to switch, because that customer service. And I think now he's got a bunch of tutorial videos that he's had to make since then. But in the beginning, there wasn't that many 3.5 years ago. And his input and involvement in that transition, which was only a couple of weeks, because I would text him or email him in the evening, and he'd be like, hey, hit me up. I've got 15, 20 minutes. If you got time, we'll step through some process. And so in 2.5, 3 weeks, we were up and running. Now, my templates weren't fully developed, and I wasn't rocking and rolling like I was a few months later, but I understood it enough to step through the processes and then bring the value into the business with Buildxact just in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, awesome. How about yourself?
Yeah, I think that was also it. And when I was looking to what software we're going to use, there was other companies out there that were very pressured. I would get phone calls 3 to 4 times a day, and your phone rings every single day, all the time. Always spam. Calling through all those calls all the time. It's so annoying. And then to pick up the phone and be like, oh, hey, it's Jim from this company. Like, no, I don't have that time right now. And what he said was, it's very personable. Everyone I talked to at Buildxact the whole time was always, it felt like I was talking to one of us. It wasn't a sales model, it wasn't a sales pitch. And it made me feel comfortable going into this as this is a new venture for ourselves. And hey, it's residential based, and I think it was a good decision. And hey, this is what we're going to do. And then here we are a year and a half later, and wouldn't look back.
Agree.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you sharing that, because I think when we talk about how Buildxact differentiates from our competitors, and I'm heavily biased, right? So just know I'm biased in what I'm about to say, but we got the best damn team, I think, behind here. I mean, I know Dan gets so amazing shout outs. We got Megan Free around as well too. Ross Watkins, who's our director and leads an amazing customer success team. We've got many of our sales people here, and we obviously got led by Erin. And I think we really care about our builders. We really realize day to day that your guys' success is our success. And so where I sit within the product team, it's just working really hard, listening to what you guys are saying, taking that feedback, looking ahead into the horizon, thinking about what you guys are sometimes not even thinking about in terms of listening to the stories, listening to the processes, understanding your day to day, and saying, hey, can we try to solve that? Can we work and build on that? And I get...
Yeah, can I interject there?
Please.
So this is a shout out to John, the founder. But I think it was intended from the beginning, because I talked to him last year, and the culture that's in y'all's systems is that care for the builder, and that you get that impression that they're trying to help you, trying to figure out. And so they look for feedback. They welcome it, even if it's not good. They want to know, because they'll tweak their systems and try to accommodate you in that field. And so in the beginning and now, it feels like they're small because of that relationship, because they can react so fast. But they're not. They're 100 and something employees now. I mean, you guys are a pretty big company, but it feels like you got 8 or 9 guys that work with you, and it feels like a family business. So kudos on that part.
Yeah, I think we've all seen the feedback buttons, and you're gonna think that, oh, this is gonna fall on deaf ears. We're not gonna hear anything back. This is just a bunch of sales fluff. It's just a bot I'm talking to. No, someone will email you or they will call you. And I spent the last 6 months just about working with the Home Depot integration in Buildxact, and one of the beta testers for that, and that was a good experience. And we were on the phone or emails all hours of the night, whatever time it was. If they were in Australia, they made time for me because I'm on the East Coast here. So kudos to you guys, because I think it makes us feel part of the team, and we're not just somebody out there that's a number, because no one likes being a number in the world, right? We have names, right? So that's all I want to say with that.
Yeah, and again, I really appreciate you sharing that. And I think that's where, as a company, we continue to thrive and excel, because we can take that feedback, we can work on it. I mean, we have Chris Rennie, who's our director of product, our chief product officer as well too. He's walking around here. He's having conversations with everybody here. You guys, some of you have probably spoken to him as well. And really, again, that curiosity, that looking, because we've gone really far. I'm really proud of the product. I'm really proud of the AI, but we're not done yet. We're not done with the Home Depot integration. We're not done with AI. We're not done with these features, because again, we know that if we can help you guys out, then we win as a company. So, but I want to shift a little bit more into your guys' experience. I know, going back a little bit about Buildxact really was first known for its estimating and its takeoffs. And I know for a lot of people, that's where they first start to see the benefit of Buildxact, especially getting from that pen and paper, moving into their first digital kind of experience. Can you guys share a little bit around how you found the takeoffs, and even focusing a little more around that estimating in general? How are you sort of found that experience so far?
From the AI perspective?
That too, yeah. I'd love to hear all of it, but especially the AI, yeah.
Okay, so a couple pieces there to unpack. So my primary focus is estimation and Buildxact, like you were saying, that was the original intent. But the construction slot planner, so the scheduling and all of that is more of the project manager focus. And then on the financial side, QuickBooks you can integrate with QuickBooks, but you can compare that cost of that project versus what really happened, your reality, and get those differentials. So back to the AI piece. So we're known for our scope because we don't have scope creep. I mean, our slippage last year over 12 months was 0.83%, so less than 1 on $3.2 million. So that's fantastic. Before Buildxact, we were flirting with 5 to 7. Had a couple outliers at 10 or 11, depending if it was a remodel or something, we'd get screwed sometimes. But that's not the case anymore because they're able to build out that scope. And so the blue side, the AI side of Buildxact, especially if you're new to the software, you can type in its prompts, which the more detailed you are, the better. But then it'll produce an estimate. And a lot of times for us, it gets us like 85% of the way there. And then you kind of got to fill in what's specific to whatever project you're doing, or especially if it's unique application. And then it also has a reviewer on the tail side for it to go over your estimate, and you too can put in what you're looking for, like, hey, this is, and customize it, and then that can be used on every estimate thereafter. And so then you can plug in a zip code and even get real specific on that reviewer, and it'll point out some nice things. And even if you've labeled it incorrectly, it'll bring it to light, and to make sure you're covering certain costs and specific to the zip code, influenced by code, all that kind of thing. So it's a really nice feature, because I can't do this forever. And so eventually I have to put someone in this position. And so if I can't transition what I've learned and experienced in Buildxact, then I'm stuck and you can't scale. And so with those pieces of the software and that ability to template your builds, then all the next guy that's estimating is just have to ensure quantities, and when he scales the project off the plans in the software.
Yeah, and so I'm not going to talk about the AI too much. I use what you call assemblies, to where it's all custom for whatever you want to do and make. So for example, if you're doing flooring, you can have your allowance built in, your adhesives, your grout tools, your labor, your price per square foot. Say if you know your exact cost for 1,000 square foot, you build the assembly for 1,000 square feet. You know it's right. All your unit quantities are correct. You go to do a takeoff and say it's 50 square feet. The assembly is already built, so it's going to calculate it for 50 square feet. So when you do a takeoff, you just drag, drop, or you hit a point, you hit enter, it's calculated, everything to a T. So all your materials, say mineral spirits, rags, whatever it is. If I'm doing a Schluter shower, I'm not sure if we can say another brand, but for example, I have a 36 by 72 shower kit built out. It's already ready to go. So I can just hit, there's a shower there, click it, automatically puts it in, the labor, the allowances, everything, all the numbers is right there. Anything, any trim package, door package, interior trim outs, whatever you want. So I was heavy on the assembly. So that's a lot of work up front. But like he said, if you don't build the systems, you're not going to be able to scale, because no one else is going to be able to do it, right? If you have that knowledge and you built that system for your company, which you can do in this software, then I can get my wife in there and she can go in there and be like, hey, I need you to do this trim package, do these doors, solid core door package. It's this type of tile, these shower systems. So the assemblies for us is very, very, very key. And even with lighting. So I know I need 6 recessed lights for whatever square feet. So I have all my wiring in there, all my switches, all the dimmers, and everything built in. And so that's insane time savings. You can just go in there on a takeoff and do that very quickly.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. And I think from having conversations with both of you over the last little bit, you guys use Buildxact in very different ways as well too, right? You've customized it, you found your flow, your templates, your assemblies, your pricing, your usage of AI, all of that. And I think that really, again, speaks to so many people think when they come to Buildxact that it's like, I've got a specific process, and Dustin, I can't use your software. And it's like, honestly, from having the conversations, it has that versatility to be able to support you. And yeah, there's some things that have to change a little bit, but oftentimes I find they get to the end of it and they go, actually, I needed to make that change. I did need to structure that. I was doing the same work over and over again. And actually I realized that these things weren't that different. And how can I template it? How can I customize it? How can I set that up? So moving forward, I get that extra 2-3% savings on top of the 80% savings as we go through. I want to shift a little bit more, Josh. You kind of touched a little bit on this, that both of you are working within your business, but you also have a fantastic team working in as well with yourselves. Can you tell us a little bit about how other people in your business use Buildxact and what sort of benefits they get, and how have you benefited from them being in the system as well?
So that's a bit of a hot button right now with Sam. So he's my project manager over there, and he hasn't jumped into Buildxact. So I don't have a ton of team experience because it's been me focused, but she'll use it on the QuickBooks side to contrast like real projects versus what was estimated 3 months prior. And then the CSP, what we call the construction slot planner. So you can attach your durations of your tasks. So if we're doing, let me back up. We do custom homes. So if you go into one of my Buildxact estimates, if you print it out, it's like 30 pages because you got 36 phases, and then each phase will have 60 to 70 line items. And so the whole premise of the estimate follows our project manager. So he's got a schedule. And then if it's an inspected or a lender-based project, then the bank will have the same step. So this helps tremendously on getting your money, getting your draws, because they can check through and your objectives. There's work tied to that cash. And so they can release. It's a whole lot hassle. So instead of fighting 2, 3, 4 weeks to get your money, it's typically an inspection or a checkoff list on one inspection. And within 48 to 72 hours, you're getting your cash. Anybody building houses, you get stretched out there pretty good because they're going to leverage our exposure and finances. But with Buildxact, you've got that checklist, that transparency with the lender, with the homeowner, and it's a lot less stress. And so for us, that's my big piece. And then the CSP, the construction slot planner, if you schedule it correctly, you can do revenue forecasting off of it. So if you're doing a couple projects, that's not super critical. But if you've got 11, 12 projects rolling and you're trying to we're trying to hit 8 mil this year. We closed at 3.2 last year. We have 5.2 under contract for this year. You have to have these systems in place, or you're flying by the seat of the pants and you're going to bleed cash when you mess up. It's just the way it's going to be. And so that's kind of how it's integrated to our team right now, those 3 pieces.
Awesome. Yourself, Brian?
Right now, it's me and family. So we don't have a bunch of employees at the front desk answering phones. So it's very important that I had a system in place that I could build when I do hire that person on. So everything's tailored to us. And what you touched on specificity, right? It had to be very specified for what we do. We're very detailed, so we need the details to be there. Also as a selling point, and the assemblies, like I talked about, was one of those highly detailed things. So it doesn't even matter what it is. It could be painting walls. You can make an assembly for it. And we do a lot of mechanical contracting, so we do a lot of HVAC systems, ERV systems, plumbing, water heaters, whatever. So, we have tankless water heater assemblies. We have regular gas-fired appliances. Everything's built in. So no matter, even if you do that. So, and it's key for remodeling for us because everything's in-house. So we keep those licenses on us. The only thing we really sub things out was like massive drywall work, big framing jobs. Other than that, it's all us. So anything to help streamline that whole process when you're that small and to be able to help you scale, because those systems are going to be in place when you do get to that level. So I think that was pretty critical in everything we do.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Look, I could probably keep asking questions, but we've got an amazing audience here. Does anybody have any questions of these fantastic gentlemen? Buildxact, business, anything else? Yeah. Oh, I could share that, Mike.
You talked about the way the system was set up in banks and loans. Does the bank actually have access to Buildxact account to see progress?
So you do have a portal. They would be given access like a customer. So they can't influence anything, but they can observe it.
Right.
So the past, all 9 houses this year, the lenders have access to that actual quote. They'll submit it in their documents. So this is what we found interesting. This is actually the last bank. So no bank wants to give up cash for you to complete work. They want you to complete work and then give up cash. Okay. So with Rural First, Mid-America Credit, they allowed us to dictate the draw schedule off of Buildxact. And because typical contractor is like, hey, I need 25% up front. At such completion, I need X. They got 4 or 5 draws on $1 million home. So we have 12 draws at like 80K, 120K, and they're all tied to that estimate. And so they know exactly what's going on. So for example, we had framing packages delivered out to the job site. It's in the list. Hey, we're going to take a draw when these materials are delivered. So they're seeing the transparency, and we're delivering. So they don't have a ton of reserve about cash. Does that make sense? And so that's the first bank we've ever been able to push a draw schedule on or dictate, because most of them have been non-negotiable. And the 3 smaller houses were. But this just happened, 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago. And so we're going to try it from here on out. But with that one house, they allowed us to dictate the draw schedule, which is super rare with a bank. Yeah.
Does that in your contract, does it reflect those stages too? So the contract reflects what you see in Buildxact if you submit that all to the bank as well?
Yeah, so my contract is a template, which because of people, it's grown to 12 pages. When we first started, it was 2 pages. But you know, every incident, you meet with an attorney, you figure out what to put in there, and sadly, it's up to like 11 or 12 pages. But I'll have one page in there that's milestones, and they're tied to. If you look in Buildxact, any of these screens, you'll see how each you got a line, a header, and then it's got all your subcategories or assemblies. And then I'll copy the header in there with those objectives, and then I tie the quote from Buildxact as an exhibit at the end of the contract. So there's tons of liability protection by doing this. So one, the customer signed off on it. Two, the bank signed off on it. Because if they try to fight the draw schedule, which that happened too, we went back to the contract that they admitted. We're like, you signed off on this. Now you're trying to get me to defer my schedule, my cash flow. It's going to cause a problem. And so far they've caved. They've never rejected to the point that we didn't get our money. But sometimes it protects you. It does protect the homeowner, but it brings accountability to all three parties, the homeowner, the bank, and yourself. But if you got a blanket estimate that's 1 or 2 pages for building a house, you're screwed. I mean, yeah, you're toast. But if you got a 32-page document that talks about the flooring, the trim, the glue I'm using, the screws I have in my drywall, and it sounds daunting to build it, but once you build that first template, that's it. All you do is adjust quantities. And it gets a little bit smarter than that. So we have 3 brackets: less than 500K home, then 600K up to 1.2, and then 1.5 and up. 3 templates. So if I drag in the plan and then scan all my surfaces, it'll update that quote within like 30 to 45 seconds. You're 95% of the way there. So instead of taking months to quote a home, you're talking about the goals was 1.9 million, the goals residents. And I took months to design because that woman struggled making decisions, which Buildxact can help with that too because of the spec side, but that's another conversation. And so we did that entire estimate in 11 hours and closed. And so on 1.9, to me, that's awesome. That's our first house that we almost broke $2 million. But if I would have done that in the old days, 2 or 3 weeks, crap tons of Excel. And the kicker, and you tied this with Home Depot, the live pricing is super important because when you bid in November, but you don't start the project till March of next year, everybody knows the prices are jacked up. It's no longer valid. So you're going to fight the customer on every freaking line item you have, and it's a pain in the butt. Everybody's pissed before you even start the project. Whereas that live pricing, it'll prompt you if there's changes. If you make the connection, like, hey, you've had 4 or 5 changes. So you can either accept or send a change order like, hey, here's the differences based off the contract we have. It's $900 more for whatever. Yeah, it's all built in. Yeah, as soon as you log in to your estimate, you get a notification in the software. I think it's orange in color. It's at the top, and it'll prompt you, and you don't have to accept all. You can click view and see what's changed. Because if it's changed in your favor, keep that money to the credit because something's going to pop up if you're in $1 million project. Yep. And then if it's changed against you, we have a contingency in our contract that if any piece price or lot price exceeds 2%, we get to reevaluate and pass the cost to the homeowner. And so, yeah, does that answer your question? I know it was a huge answer, but okay, thanks.
I think to capitalize on that with all your documents, your licensing, your proofs of insurance, all those documents, even contracts, you can upload them one time to the document section and you can tag anything anytime you send a quote or an estimate to a client. So they can see everything up front. Your licensing, everything. Everyone's going to ask, what's your insurance? Here it is. And you don't have to remember to do that every time you email or text or call a client. It's there and it's uploaded. So that's been a tremendous time saver too, because if you put that in there one time, it's there, right? So update your licenses every year or whatever. And then on top of that, anything, in your invoice statements and your change order, the looks of it, you can edit everything. You can actually go in there and edit the coding to change the way it looks completely.
So what that makes sense, does it prompt like liability insurance for subcontractors too?
No, I'm generally speaking just a document, like your deck page for your insurance, your $1 million, $2 million policy. You just upload that and they can see it. Yeah.
Wait, you asked about your subs paperwork, right? Yeah, so there is, like in your CRM piece, you'll have everything's in there, but you have contractors, suppliers, or might be call it vendors. So in that instance, in that piece of software, which is on the left-hand side, if you're in Buildxact, yeah, you can upload all their licenses. I think you can even attach dates to their.
You can, yeah.
Yeah, you can attach dates to it, so then you get a notice or right, yeah, when their paperwork's overdue, because everybody knows that. You get to the end of the year and you're like, oh, yeah, you're chasing paperwork.
Yeah.
Tiffany does the same thing for us, and she wouldn't say pissed, but she gets pissed. And it's the same thing. She'll spend 2 weeks, and they're like, hey, I'll come in on Friday. I'll give you the paperwork. I'll come in. And it never happens. So we hold checks. We're like, you're not getting paid until you give me your paperwork. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, I love that, and I think it's just a great example of, Buildxact is an incredibly rich platform, and it's just a great example of one of those other things as well. That it's tucked away, it's definitely tucked away, but when we find that, when we're working with our builders as they're starting to work through to go, great, I'm estimating a lot faster now. How do I reinvest that back into getting to the next stage? Great, now I'm starting to schedule. Now I've got my accounting integration. Now I'm getting my changes. Now I'm getting my processes. It's that continued reinvestment back into the platform, which is a reinvestment back into our business fundamentally.
Yes.
Yeah. Now we're at time, but I have an amazing $300 gift card, and we want to see who's been paying attention today. So, are you ready?
Yeah, be the first to raise your hand.
All right. So Josh talked a little bit about his slippage before Buildxact. Shout out your answers. What was it? And closest gets the $300 gift card. What was your slippage before Buildxact?
Say it.
Oh,
Yeah. 5.7?
it was 5 to 7. So he's just got the decimal in the wrong spot. That's it.
That's it. Awesome. I just want to thank you so much, guys, for coming out today.